So before we continue with the last chapter of the robot saga, this is the table right now. A lot of things, maybe later I will elaborate. But let's make sure that the gates, are not opening again by mistake. This is painted on like a floor tile. You see that it's black on white. The main object, the gate itself. It doesn't really matter what's the color of the gate. I don't know, I've never seen it. And there is also always the question of what gate. There are many gates. Even in Israel there is more than one. And of course, there is always the one that in the opposite side. But the issue is, the first, black over white or dark over bright means, as you know, I'm doing it with oil, so it's really nasty, and I don't have a lot of, maybe I will sacrifice this this towel. So the always the question, and this one is on like just a kappa, it's called, like a thin one, a material that is used to, for like painters to put like their canvases or more commonly just papers on it. So there is always the question of what gate. So yeah, the fact it's black on white, not black and white, but black on or dark over bright means that we don't want it. Like the negative of bright over dark, which is as you know, the standard default complexion. But there is still the question of what gate is it? Gate to Venus, yes. But there are at least two gates. One here and one in Venus, and there are actually more. We know that there is one in Dimona, the classical one, in the center of the bicycle 201 saga, and one in Tikut Safon, in the bunker, in the Northern Command, which is used during these days, but there are actually more than that. So what should we refer? To what one should we refer? So first, when you have two, when you create two objects, it always means that the neros, the recipients of the interpreters of the message, should try to create common ground between and create a model according to the common ground, and then apply the action to all the physical objects that the model applies to it. Which means, or if it's a construction action, it means create indefinitely create more and more. Sometimes you need to create three actually symbols, and sometimes four. For all sorts of reasons, I've discussed it in the past a lot when I spoke about the symbolic language. There are many videos. If you don't have access to it, please ask Disney Plus to give you the required information or the required access. But what we are now, we don't want to construct a gate, we want to block the gate. And we do not even care what gate. It doesn't even necessarily be one on Israel. We want to have two symbols, so the model will apply to all the gates that can be interpreted as a manifestation of the model. So what's the important issue here? Not how it looks, because it might look in all sorts of ways. It can look in sorts of ways. And also there can be ornamental layers, certainly sometimes they are, and also it's always, in Israel it's part of like a military base, whether in Dimona or in Tikut Safon, in Sfat. So I mean, what? I mean, Jew right now, you need like to think about like the important issue, like the important characteristics of what you actually want to describe. It's, of course, it's not only for gates. I mean, it's true for, I mean, for anything. I mean, it's part of the symbolic language. So what's the important thing? So the important, if you ask me, I mean, you can have your own opinion, but of course, it's not like I didn't invent it now. I mean, you can see a lot of, like, I mean, I have many paintings that symbolize the gates in many of my paintings since, you know, the beginning of my career, I would say, like 20 months ago. So these are not new issues, I mean, most of it. But so, just, I mean, for the newcomers, I would say that the important issue is what is the source and what is the destination. What is the source planet and what is the destination planet. And what we want is to close all the gates that allow someone to teleport from Earth to Venus. And it doesn't matter where in Earth or where in Venus. We don't care. Maybe there are like 100 gates all over the world, like in Ukraine, in Iran, maybe 4 in Israel. I mean, probably something like that. 4 in Israel, 2 in the United States. I mean, these. I mean, I don't just throw numbers. It's something like that. So maybe there's like 100 all over the world. Mostly, of course, are not known to you. And also, maybe some gate now is actually, let's say that you know the gate, but it's not leading to Venus at all. I don't think that there is something like that. I actually think that you don't, but maybe I'm wrong. But according to my understanding of reality, humans don't know of any gate on Earth right now that does not lead to Venus. But it might be, but it doesn't mean that there is not one. Perhaps there is another gate, like under the safari in Ramat Gan, like, you know, in Israel, that leads from the safari in Ramat Gan to Mars. Sometimes. So, but it's relatively easy to rewire gates. It's much more difficult to build new one, but to rewire it, it's really easy. And we don't want humans or any other like species to rewire the gates under the safari in Ramat Gan to lead to Venus, even if it now leads to Mars, because it's not very difficult to rewire the gates. So what we want to do is to block not just one specific gate or 2 gates, but to block the possibility of a gate from Earth to Venus. By the way, this does not preclude, I mean, this doesn't say that, I mean, maybe, I mean, this in itself, this, I mean, objective in itself doesn't mean that people cannot arrive from Venus to Earth. Maybe via the same gates that, I mean, maybe just, I mean, doing the best way. I know that all of you are hoping that this is actually going to happen any moment, so let me tell you a secret, they are all ground meat. No one is coming back. Don't put your hopes on the mother. They are all ground meat. Like chopped pieces of meat inside the stew. Like they like stews, like, you know, like I mean. So obviously, I mean, many primitive civilizations like stews. I mean, like, because it's kind of all in one meal. Like, I mean, it's one. I mean, it's very modern, although I did it. There's like many dishes, like many meats. I mean, you have dessert, and you have like an opening, and, you know, a second course, and third. It's, I mean, throughout most of Israeli history, it wasn't like that, like ever. Like, I mean, mostly meal is one dish. Like, I mean, so it's like all in one. Like, so they are all meats too. I assure you. Some was already eaten, and some is currently eaten, and some will be eaten very shortly. So don't put your hopes in it. But in general, we don't have, like, I mean, the specific, I mean, when you ask the leader to do something, you need to be very mindful. They're not like, I mean, you know, your servants or your, I don't know, that you can, I mean, or your slaves that you can just, I mean, shout commands at them, and I mean, the fact that you are a Rabbi Lord commander of the fleet doesn't mean that you can just, I mean, mindlessly do whatever you want. And I've said it many times during the Bicycle 201 saga that even in my like, I don't, like, I think a million times before I try to do something using the Neos, even if it cost me my health and my suffering. I said it many times, just because, I mean, I understand that the implication could be tremendous. And I mean, the best example is and spoken about that in the bicycle to one saga is that one of the things that my predecessor have done, I totally understand him because from his point of view and his time it was required, was actually a change in the bicycle mechanism that I suffered tremendously because of this change. So I am, one of the main victims actually of the conclusion of the bicycle to one saga and the courses of action that my predecessor actually eventually decided upon. And it took him, and I described it a lot in this saga that, watch the videos, get access from Disney Plus. But I described it that it took him years to understand what should be done. It's not that he just jumped and tried, or like an Israeli, tried all the options, like pressed all the buttons. No, it's all about it for many years. And eventually he had a plan and he executed the plan, and one of the implications of the plan is that, and after a while I was born, and my life, I'm suffering all my life because of several reasons. It's not just because of that decision, but part of my suffering is directly related to to one of his decision. I'm not saying that he was wrong, but I just remind you that you don't just do things without thinking, because it can actually help you in ways that you can't even begin to understand. So we don't necessarily want to block the passage from Venus to Earth. Again, we don't care about I'm not afraid that it's not an objective of mine that the convoy, the last convoy will never return, because it will absolutely never return. It's positively, absolutely, manifestly true that they will not return. They are now either stew or crab. But who knows? I don't know. There can be lots of options, and actually we will discuss it maybe a little later, because of I wanted to speak about more about the Venera project, because I didn't speak enough about it, and it's such an important historical project that was mostly forgotten, not only because of the purge, but because it wasn't. Most of the space projects were forgotten. People remember Apollo, because of the moon landing, but there were many projects, and both of the Americans and the Soviets, and later the Chinese, and now India. Most of it is just they are known only by geeks, nerds, but not so the Venera project was mostly forgotten, so I will speak about it later. So we don't want to preclude theoretically we might want to allow passage from Venus to Earth, even using the current gates that are used for that purpose. So it's not even necessarily true that we want to actually destroy the physical gates in Israel. No, not necessarily. So you need to be very precise. What exactly is it that you want to do? And this is not that trivial, because you need to think about it. You need to learn the material, and you need to understand, what is a gate? I've never seen one, and certainly never passed one. I don't know how it looks. But it doesn't really matter, because it can look in all sorts of ways, and most certainly all the ones that are known to humans are enclosed by military bases. It's a good bet that it's like that. But other than that, the question here is not how it visually looks, but how it functions. So there is even when we discuss function, so in the past I've described how you create symbolism of functionality, and this is something that actually the neos themselves like to do. Many times, sometimes when they send me messages, because sometimes they also paint symbols to make. So I will they try to send me messages. It's incredibly difficult. I'm doing it for 2 years now, and I'm just in the beginning of because the first steps are incredibly difficult. The first steps is you're completely in the darkness, and the first steps take you, the first 1 kilometer, takes you some years, and maybe, hopefully, and probably, the next, 1,000 kilometers might take you just, a couple of days. Because it's language, and in the beginning it's so difficult. So actually, many times they like to create symbols that describe functionality. But what kind of functionality? Because even when we deal with functionality, there are two types of functionality. There is physical functionality, and something that the neos like to do a lot, and many times I don't understand it, because I don't have knowledge in physics, even in human physics. I studied physics in high school, 5 kilos, 5-point physics, which means that I know, we studied a little bit of classical mechanics and electricity, and basic stuff, which is actually, I mean, I'm glad that I studied it, because even this very basic knowledge was, I mean, tremendously helped me in my experiments here, like that I do with the neuro, like electrolysis, I mean, and things like that. But it's so basic. I mean, I don't know even nothing, even compared to humans, and you do understand that the neuro, like the understanding of physics is like, I mean, like million times higher than that of humans. So many times I understand that they just, I lack like knowledge in physics, and maybe if I were like, I mean, you know, just a graduate like student for physics, certainly if a professor, I would have understood what they say, and maybe that would even, maybe not, maybe even that was too much. I mean, because they rely on like assumptions that, I mean, humans do not currently do not understand at all. So even with regard to functionality, there is more than one type. Like, I mean, there is like the physical functionality, like what actually is happening physically. And even here, it can be actually separated to two types. Yes, it's complicated. Yes. I mean, interacting with I mean, incredibly powerful. I mean, like a galactic civilization is something that is complicated. It is not learned in a day. Yes. So even in this kind of functionality, there is actually, it's separated to two types. Like there is like mimetic, and like, I mean, and like, there's like the mimetics and mimetic type, and there is kind of like, I mean, the consensual type. Like mimetics means like, I mean, that you try to mimic like the physical function, like in like, I mean, in kind of like in by drawing. Like I mean, like presumably, I mean, if let's speak about gates, when you start to speak about gates, so I mean, presumably, I mean, you want to you would, I mean, like a functional but mimetic symbol of a gate would probably look like something like, I mean, similar to how many times, I mean, it's incredibly, you know, it's like a cliche in physics, like in popular physics, like to explain, like, I mean, what does it mean, like that, I mean, that the space time continues is kind of like, I mean, is curved, like that there is kind of like, I mean, you know, like a sheet, and like there is a ball in the middle that, I mean, like, I mean, by gravity, I mean, pulls the sheet like downwards. It's incredibly common, like thought experiments. So probably something like that would have be used, like not exactly, but something like that. Maybe it's symmetrical, like it where it's like one, like, I mean, that, like, I mean, pulls here, and the other one, I mean, is just the opposite. That, I mean, like, I mean, that, I mean, like, I mean, like another sheet, like on the other side, that, I mean, with the opposite, like, ball, like, I mean, and the ball presumably meet in the middle. This is kind of like, it's mimetic because it kind of like mimics like passage between places that could not like be done or even conceptualized otherwise. But there is also another kind of like, even if we just stick to the functional level, it doesn't have to be mimetic. Again, it can be something that is more like consensual. For example, I mean, a good example of that is just, I mean, so it's not a symbol, it does not symbolize gate, but it symbolizes hyper jump, which is something that is, it's related to I mean, physically, it's of course they are related. If you didn't understand, yes, hyperspace jumps are totally a thing. Yes, they can be done, and they are done. Yes, certainly yes. I mean, warp drive or whatever you want to call it. I mean, folding space. I mean, faster than light travel, certainly possible. 100%. Certainly. And more so, faster than something that is considered like more basic than that, which is faster than light information communication, is of course, well, it also exists. I mean, if faster than light travel exists, then also faster than light communication exists, but it's actually much simpler than, I mean, so in a way, I really like the left end of darkness of the novel. I mentioned it several times, of Ursula Le Guin, and I written about it in a post like in the past, and I've lost it. So, but and also it was in Hebrew. So if I had the time, I would speak about like my interpretation of and thought regarding the left end of darkness. I think it's an incredibly important novel. It was written like I think on 1970. So I mean, in this like in the Hero universe, like the Equumen universe, and like I mean, so I mean, faster than light travel is not possible, but faster than light information is actually very easy. Like communication is actually very easy. it's not our universe, because in our universe both are possible. But I mean, what I mean, it's in the important issue is that, I mean, it describes how can, like, how civilization can interact with each other, I mean, without threatening each other. Because if only information passing is possible and not travel, it means that it's almost impossible of different, like, very distant civilizations to threat each other. Because, I mean, they cannot materialize the threat, almost cannot materialize the threats. They can send people, and they do it in this universe. Also, they do it in the incredibly interesting short novel that is called, that I really like, also, of course, of Ursula Le Guin, Winter King. I think it's really, I mean, you should also read it as well. I mean, it is actually very short, like, and so it's a short story, not novel, very short, a short story. It's called Winter King, again, of Ursula Le Guin, and so it's demonstrated, I mean, it's very, I mean, just read it. I mean, so it's also demonstrated, like, I mean, what I mean, kind of things that happen, kind of in the universe, in this universe, like, where faster than light information travel is, I mean, communication is common, but not faster than light travel, even though it can be done, and sometimes it is done, but at great cost. And I mean, not necessarily like financial cost, also financial cost, but more than that, the cost of that, I mean, the person is, the traveled person is losing, like, I mean, is kind of like, is kind of like, he or she is time traveling to the future. This is very common in tremendous amount of, like, sci-fi literature and film, and I can't even, like, start to give examples because there are so many, you know, Forever War of Joe Oldman, and I mean, so many, like, I mean, like, throughout, like, I mean, since the 50s, I mean, there were so many novels, so this is very common, so this can still do it, but I mean, or just Planet, the original Planet of the Apes, that I mean, they send him, like, I mean, you know, they send the people, like, to the future, and when they wake up, they don't know that this is Earth, but they understand that everyone that sent them just died, like, thousands of years ago. Anyway, the good news is that in our universe, both is possible, both faster than light travel and faster than light information communication, and the second is actually not that difficult. Anyway, so I mean, so this one, I mean, the lower one, represent like the jump. So, but it's not mimetic, because I mean, the jump doesn't look like that, and also, I mean, nothing in the physical reality of the jump looks like that. So, but it's more like an issue of consensus, because by consensus, I mean, the black background, I mean, signifies space. I mean, for natural reasons, but I mean, still, I mean, it's more consensus than mimetic, because I mean, mostly, I mean, when people, like, are using the color black, they, like, throughout history, they didn't, like, think of space. They didn't even, most of them didn't even know what is space. Like, they didn't have, it was night. Like, black was the night, not space. I mean, like, so I mean, so it's not mimetic. It's more like a consensus. Okay, so I was carried away speaking about the symbolic language. It's actually it's a huge subject. I mean, I'm occupied a lot. I mean, for the last 20 months, and sometimes I speak about it. So I mean, get access from Disney Plus, premium access. But we didn't solve, like, the riddle, like the auto riddle, like the question. So okay, but what we want now is not to specify the physical phenomenon, not like by consensus that does not really exist, or nor by mimesis, like to mimic kind of, like, I mean, reality that can be captured, like, by visual representations. And we don't even care about specific site. We don't care. We want not to be able to move at all from Earth to Venus to stop this cruelty, but not necessarily to destroy any current site, and not necessarily to prohibit the traveling from the other direction. Not necessarily. And we do not limit ourselves even to gates that maybe now are configured for transport from Earth to a planet that is not Venus at all, but can be rewired, and we want to disable the option, like the possibility of them being rewired. So what can be done? So the answer is that you need to paint inside the gate something that is different than something that is outside. Now the outside is very thin in both of these. Not much will be done in the outside. Probably, I mean, it will be just, I mean, very thin blue, like, I mean, very thin blue and purple, kind of like, I mean, strokes. Not much. Not much is needed. I mean, just to represent ocean and to present like the purple. You know, the chemical process that, I mean, that some say that in Earth, I mean, predates photosynthesis, like an alternative chemical process that is used by plants or presumably some animals. It depends on definition to convert energy from the sun, like light rays, like flux. I mean, it's called flux, like to chemical energy, like it's chemically stored energy. Like, I mean, and this is of course it's. So I mean, when it is done by, I mean, green leaves or by the cyanobacteria, which is bacteria that is very common in the oceans, it's called photosynthesis, and this is of course, I mean, the most, I mean, that's how life, not only, I mean, that's all life are created, I mean, like indirectly or directly by photosynthesis, because, I mean, that's the way that, I mean, that everything that is living on Earth, I mean, gets their energy. They get, I mean, most, it's not all of that, but most of the energy comes from the sun, but I mean, indirectly, I mean, you know, some creatures eat, like, you know, it's like predators can eat like animals, and these animals, you know, like in the Lion King, that I mean, it's fine for it's so stupid. I mean, it's fine for the lions to eat the zebras because eventually, presumably, at some age, they will die and rot, and maybe some zebra will like have a little bit more grass to eat. I must say this. I mean, it's a good movie, but this is one of the most tips. Like, I mean, I would have. Like, I mean, I think that this one should have been cut, like in the edit. Like, seriously, I mean, this is your justification of eating like modern, like huge, thinking and like intelligent and nice. Actually, they are not that nice. Actually, zebras are not nice at all. I mean, people don't really know zebras. They think that they are like horses or like donkeys because they know donkeys and horses, but they are not like them at all. They are like, I mean, yes, I mean, they belong to the same family in general, but I mean, they are much more violent, like, and they are not nice at all. And they cannot be tamed to be nice. Like, I mean, unlike horses and donkeys. I mean, even if you try to tame them, they still are, they hate you. I mean, should you blame them? Probably not. But anyway, so I mean, so the thing that outside the gate, so the blue and so the purple, I mean, is kind of like equivalent. It's not for the sense. It's the equivalent chemical process that, I mean, that what you actually see is like more like, I mean. The solar panels, or in other words, the leaves are more like, I mean, towards, I mean, they are colored more like, I mean, they're kind of like, I mean, their tone is more like, I mean, that of, I mean, there is a spectrum. It's not like one color. Like, I mean, you know, I mean, you know, jungles and forests are not made of one color. I mean, but green is the dominant, like, there are many shades, but the green is the dominant color. So in Venus, it's more like green, but also purple. And there is much less than here because there is less flux because of the issue of the clouds, and also the nights, of course, does not. I mean, it is a huge problem. But also it should be said that even in Earth it was like that. So I mean, some people say it's not like entirely certain, but probably so. So this is like so this will be like the outer elements, very coolly, and that's why I didn't give it much space because it's not really needed. So the inside will be the important element. So first, the colors should be different. So we already see that the colors are red and brown, which of course, as we know, these are the colors that some might think that they symbolize Mars, but not according to my own mythology, and my mythology is the correct one. I mean, because I use it. I mean, and it's also, I mean, you know, from Genesis, like Adam, Adama, like Adom, red, and you know, Adama, like Terra, and because the humans are because the association of humans with war and with blood and with the earth, like that they are really, I mean, that they are really close to the earth, like, I mean, they are autochthonic creatures, or something like that. They're always like to be like close to the ground, like I mean, to fight over land and like to see themselves as connected to the land itself, and and also the fact that I mean all cultures since forever. I mean the first artifacts were almost always pottery made of clay, and also because I mean it's not very durable, and humans are not durable because they are made I mean of material that is very easily broken and doesn't. I mean that at best lasts like something like 100 or 120 years, which is very little in like by other creatures standards. Sorry, that's just it. I mean you live very short life, and maybe this can explain somewhat can explain your cruelty and stupidity, but I do not buy this excuse at all. There are other creatures that are similar to you in lifespan and they are not as cruel and not that stupid. And of course we need like an object, like a bright object, which would be like I mean it means that I mean this is like the like I mean that we want to like put like I mean is bright on dark, which means we'll give it like I mean the center, not only geometrically but I mean by color composition, the center place, so the question, what could be this object? So the question is, what is the object that can symbolize the best? I mean maybe the colors could have been enough, but I mean arguably you can say that I mean the red colors also I mean can signify the red complexion can perhaps maybe symbolize Mars. So you want like to be more, so you need the object. So we need to add an object. I mean besides like I mean the blue and purple like background of like outside the gate, we need like one object. It doesn't need to be very, you know, it's symbolic. So the object that doesn't need to be very very complicated. And this might be enough already as it is. I mean, but we need another object to make it like more, to make it more of like I mean, like I mean that it will be like I mean entirely clear that this object is something that you can find in Earth, and you can find it like it's very common in Earth, but you absolutely cannot find it outside of like I mean in Venus or in another planet like I mean that is part of this solar system. You can ask about what about other solar systems. So actually I spoke about quite a bit in the past, like what's the problem of like dealing with different solar systems, like I mean in the symbolic language, and why I mean humans don't know like to, what's the problem with star maps, like I mean in our time, like in general, like I mean that why I mean humans don't have any concern with scarcity to how to draw like I mean like how to conceptualize even like star maps. And so it's a huge object, but let's speak about it something, but it's spoken about it in the past. But I mean by default we speak by default. I mean the symbolic language by default is always the default assumption of the symbolic language is that that the symbols are like the first and the most important context of the symbols is the solar system. And if you want it to be something else, you need to actually define it. I mean, it explicitly says, I mean, explicitly, like, I mean, like mention it, and this is very complicated, but I don't, it was never actually, why do they keep like terrorizing me with noise? I mean, what's the problem? Why should they stop speak? I mean, what in else should, like, why? What? I mean, maybe you suffer, is it a problem of mine? Should I care? So you terrorize me to force me to stop speak? Does it make sense to you? How can I make you suffer to such an extent that you resort to such action? If you will suffer greatly, that's because someone which is great makes you suffer. I'm not great, I am poor, I don't have money at all. I have 37 agorot, like 10 cents in my bank account. 10 cents! No, this is not a joke. That's what I have. I have 10 cents in my bank account. I mean, I don't want to, like, to just believe me. 10 cents. Like in my account in Bank Hapoalim, and I have another account in Bank Discount in which I have 0 cents, zero, and no saving at all, no nothing, no property, nothing. I have 10 cents, literally, so that's everything that I have, and the things that are in, like, the junk in this room. Of course, some of the junk in this room is worth billions, but I cannot sell anything, and you know it, because I'm a slave of the Israeli, Shabak. So how can a person that have 10 cents in his bank account and no value property at all can create, like, can cause you so much suffering? He cannot, and he doesn't. And another species is tormenting you. So why do you do it? I mean, why do you play this sound? Like, what do you want from me? What can I give you that you were not already taken? I'm under arrest. I was not released this morning, as I hope that I will be released, but of course, they decided not to release me. I'm still under arrest, and it should be like that at least for the next 3 months, until there will be kind of another report that probably should be written on me to see if I can actually be free. Yes, everything is as usual. The Israelis will torture me until their last breath. Yes. So the question is what, and maybe let's stop the video, and just paint it and then like put it outside, like a display. But what is the object that you can find like in Earth, and you can actually find it. It was very common actually in the past as well. Like Burj Dubai or Burj Khalifa will not be a good candidate, even though yes, it exists on Earth, but it's relatively very new. So what, the pyramids, they exist for a long time, but they are very culturally specific, and we want to demonstrate the fact that we don't want just gates that presumably lead to Egypt. We want to block all transport. Sorry, that so much. I spoke about it so much, and I forgot something very important. So I forgot to say something that I had it in my intention, and because I never prepare for these talks, I forget things that I was meaning to say, but initially, and then I just So let me correct myself. Yes, it's okay to correct myself from that. I never prepare for this video, so sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong because I didn't reach the correct conclusion, but sometimes I did have the correct conclusion, but it was mixed along the way. So let's be more specific about it. But it's okay that I spoke about it because now I've arranged it in my thought. So sorry. So please, kablu tikun, as they say. Allow me to correct myself. The correct, from our perspective, the correct symbol of the gate should be something that mimics an object, and this object is mirror, because mirror is the opposite of an open gate. Like the black color not necessarily is the opposite of an open. It doesn't mean closed, if it's black, because maybe it's black because, you just look at the stars, and this actually, sometimes you can see it even in the news, in the microscopic slides. Sometimes it's not black, it's black on the inside, because, you see things like that, there is no, passage of light or something like that. So black is not there are all sorts of interiors to the neos. It can be black, it can be yellow, and all sorts of stuff. And it depends on the medium and where it leads. This can actually be seen in the microscopic work. But if it's a mirror, it means that you cannot get through it. You cannot get through it. That's why, and I'm so sorry, I was mistaken. I need to correct myself, but now again, I do not prepare for these videos, so sometimes I'm just, I kind of like, miss a key point. So the key point here is that, the enclosing like object, which means like what you see now is white, like the scene exterior should be the same kind of colors that are dominant in the inside, which means like red and brown, which means that the outside is the earth, and what you actually see is the mirror. So you see earth. And this is also the answer to the question, like what is the object that is so common in earth and was always common in earth, and this is the object that you see when you watch a closed gate, or in other words, when you watch a mirror. And so what is this object? Of course, Satan. Satan is the object that you need to paint. So I'll do it now, and I'll put like the symbols outside, and then we will speak about the last chapter of the robot saga, and maybe even the fairy tale, like the Three Sisters fairy tale.